Yeah.
So same to the speed.
No, it's almost. Let's go for
It's 6 o'clock. I will call this meeting of the Enfield Select Board to order, April 21st, 2025. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of April 7th. Any comments?
Make a motion to approve the minutes as printed.
Is there a second?
Second,
I have one comment on line 246. I believe we said that the nurse was a contract and would be a hourly contract as opposed to an employee. I just want to take the potential reference out that this is not an employee per se. So perhaps the words, the nurse is a hourly contract
Contracted on an hourly basis.
or contracted
go.
on an hourly basis would be fine.
Yes, sounds good.
Other than that, they're excellent.
We're good? We have a motion in the second.
Move to approve as amended.
Is, okay,
second.
all in favor?
Uh,
Aye,
I'm gonna abstain.
one abstention. Thank you. Next up, we have board report. Start with you, Katie?
I was not at conservation. I missed all of that week. So I have nothing to report other than I know Shirley is chair and I have not had a chance to see the minutes yet.
Other board reports?
I have nothing.
I have nothing.
Planning board had a good meeting planning out the community forum coming up. I'm just gonna check it here. I think it's. I forget which day it is. I think it's on Saturday.
Something's come out in the mail
Yep.
about that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, everyone should have gotten a mailer.
It's
all talked about. Yeah, it says the 26th, 9 AM. It's planned as a 3-hour event, not necessarily a drop-in. And it'll speak about it. It's gonna be good.
Great.
I do have a report from the Enfield Village Association. They met, I think, last week. Shaker 7 planning continues. The Shaker 7 will be Sunday, June 22nd. The next business to business coffee will be June 13th at the Carpenter's Cup, which is the new coffee shop next door to George's at 8 AM. On Friday, June 13th, I think I said that. Then Green Up Days is coming, and those are weekends where people can pick up a garbage bag outside of Eva starting on May 5th. And Green Up Days are scheduled for May 10th and 11th and May 17th and 18th. And then Eva is also refreshing the downtown banners, and they aim to have them done by the June 6th planners meeting. These, you've been really shocked about that. Then the Flower Beds Committee has been reconvened, and you should start seeing their handiwork around downtown again with a similar goal for everything to be spruced up prior to the June 6th planners meeting.
That's great.
Yeah, lots of work to get out of 6 season.
Do they go out to the recreation fields at all? There's a planter that's in dire need of attention at the entrance to the athletic fields on Route 4A.
Okay. I can ask.
Hmm.
They usually stick to downtown, but I can ask if.
Yeah.
they would-
Well, that downtown is a pretty big job in and of
Yeah.
itself.
So,
I can talk too. We're looking at standing up either a garden club or a place where people can adopt different flower beds around town. So we'll be working.
Conservation's been talking about putting a lot of the groups that are doing the pizzas together.
On your list, would you just make a note that some of the stone surround has fallen apart? It's on the ground.
I think it got hit.
It's been that way for the winter.
Is the sign still in good shape?
Sign is fine.
The sign got redone.
Yeah, it was. The sign's fine.
That's all. The Heritage Commission didn't meet last month and they're meeting this Thursday.
Okay. Next, we have the town manager's report.
Right. From a staff report, we still have an opening for police officer. We're currently advertising the position. Enfield Police Department does have several applicants at this time and will be hosting a physical fitness test in early May. And if anyone would like to be considered for this position, they encourage to apply. And those that pass the PT test will move on to background checks and all the other stuff that goes along with becoming a police officer.
How far do I have to run?
Probably follow you. Little update on the Enfield's Farmers Market. I've been getting a lot of information back and forth, but after some consideration, with the farmers market, we had some dwindling sizes last year. And then with the new recreation director starting at the end of the month, the town decided that we would not be sponsoring a farmers market this year. After we made the decision, you may have heard around town that Vicky Bellerin decided to sponsor a farmers market. So just, yes, to clear things up, the town's not involved in that one. She picked it up and it's moving forward.
But no one ever sent any notice to any of the vendors.
Oh, look, they did.
Okay, I'm a vendor.
Yeah. Well, you didn't, well, I'll talk to you later.
Oh, so would it be at Hughes
Because I
Park?
had a bunch of people tell me they got no notification and kept asking me questions. And I was like, I don't know why they didn't send you an email.
I'll look at it.
Maybe forward it to me.
So,
Would it be at Hughes Park? Is it?
no, it's gonna be at the Bellerin event.
Oh, okay. She'd be sponsoring it at her own property. Okay.
Is it gonna be in the gambling?
I don't know.
I can tell you all about it. I do their marketing.
Pardon?
I do their marketing. I inherited it accidentally.
So Citizens Academy, the Enfield Citizens Academy received 17 applicants for our inaugural class. We are happy to welcome all 17 people to attend this class, and we look forward to our first class, which begins on May 22nd. Again, I won't put it on the agenda unless I have to, but I do need one or two select board members to help me with that class.
Happy to help out.
Okay.
Like for real.
There we go. So I'll get with the two of you as we put things together and put things together.
Question on that, are those gonna be, on Teams and as, regular
Probably not.
town meetings? Minutes,
No,
aren't they town meetings?
No.
What are,
it's a class put on by staff for.
sponsored by the town, run by the town?
Point of order.
Classes.
I just want to reiterate what a great idea I think this is for having interest in the inner workings of
I agree.
town. Hopefully having more people having an interest in being involved. I love the attention that's been going to it. I think it's really exciting to have more than the expected number for our first class.
Agreed.
So thank you.
Yeah, like I said, we planned on 15 because that's about all we can really host to do this right, but with 17, it was close enough. You know, we do expect some people to miss some classes, so we'll probably be hovering right around that 15 mark most of the time. For the Whitney Hall Public Safety Buildings, the front stairwell has been carpeted finally. And we're working to finish the computer programming on the camera. Stanley Elevators working with Tasco and their third-party company, trying to just get that all ironed out. As soon as that's done, the elevator will be good to go. It passed all other parts of the inspection. We're just trying to get that one last thing figured out. I am postponing the grand opening and we'll check back with the select board soon to reschedule. We're waiting for the exact date for the flooring company to complete the main stairwell. Other than that, we're finishing up a few punch list items and we'll be starting work on the outside final work in the near future. We do have Whitney Hall parking lot, Mascoma Lakeside Park parking lot, and the community building are all slated to be paved in early June. That'll be one of the last things we do, hopefully on Whitney Hall, but it'll be done early June. Public safety building still moving along very well. It's on schedule and under budget. Tentative substantial completion date is still early to mid-May. Finish work is well underway. Countertops will be going in this week. They flooded ceiling tiles last week. Door hardware is going on and the other small amenities to finish off a building. So last week, internet was pulled in, so SimQuest will be in there soon. Getting the firewall stood up, all the things that we need to do to move into the building. If you've driven by, you may have seen that concrete pads and sidewalks have went by. They're doing finish grading and putting some gravel in and landscaping scheduled to start soon. So that building's coming right along and hopefully we'll be moving in probably police department later May and then fire and ambulance in June as scheduled. Community nurse, I'm happy to report our community nurse Judy Ross has been working with Emily Curtis and Kristen Barnum and is now up and running. She contacted 5 patients last week and has her first home visits this week. It's nice to have this program back up and running. Crystal Lake Watershed Planning, I'm currently working on the pre-application for the Crystal Lake Watershed Plan SRF loan and hope to have that to our partners in DES soon to review, make suggestions to make some final edits prior to submission, which is due by the end of May. We're working on that right now. On the land use front, there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of exciting stuff. The Enfield Planning Board, as Eric said, is preparing for their community forum on April 26th from 9 to 12 at the community building. This discussion will center around possible zoning changes for the Enfield Village and US Route 4 area. So please come and join us from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock. Like Eric said, not a drop in sometime between there, but we'll have a whole long conversation about zoning. So please come and join us on Saturday. We have a new business that's in the process of coming to Enfield. Hale's Garage will be on US Route 4 at the corner of Hardy Road, 3 Hardy Road's the actual address. The owner of Woodsville Power Equipment in Woodsville, New Hampshire has purchased the property and will be turning it into a Bobcat, Husqvarna and Toro dealership. So they'll be coming to the planning board for site review and moving forward with that process. But we're happy to have them come to town.
Can you describe into where one more time?
It's on the corner of Hardy Road and US Route 4.
That's just above the.
The red metal
car
building
wash, right?
across the
Car
street.
wash pizza place,
Yeah.
right in the middle.
Between car wash pizza place.
Other good news, as Alice said, the Carpenter Cup Coffee Shop is about ready to open. They should be opening sometime within the next month, and we're happy to go visit them with Eva and welcome them to the town of Enfield. And then the brewery on Main Street is operating now. I went last week. They had their brewery floor all set up and they brewed their first batch last
That's
week.
where you were all day.
Where were our?
They will be working on interior upgrades before the tasting room opens sometime this summer. So it's nice to have them in town and operating and moving forward. Enfield CBA welcomed their 2 new members, Tim Lenahan and Tiffany Adams this week, and they voted Dan Reagan as elected chair and Bill Finger as vice chair. So congratulations, you two. Rob and I met last week with Nancy Merrill, who was the former economic development coordinator for the city of Claremont. She has left Claremont and is now a private consultant working for New Hampshire Community Development Finance Authority. And she's meeting with several towns to discuss community development block grants and programs and things to help towns, mostly around placemaking in different areas. So we were happy to meet with her, not only just to meet with her, but we were the first town that she met with. So it was nice to have that discussion, and we both know her very well. So it was really good for both of us to kind of kick off that meeting. We're working on preparations for the community resilience building workshop that's coming up on Thursday, May 29th. And then we're also, as mentioned earlier, working on preparations for the New Hampshire Planners Association Spring Conference that will be held in the community building on June 6th. We're working with the city of Lebanon, who will be presenting in the morning, and Enfield will present in the afternoon with walking tours up and down Main Street. On the DPW front, all town road postings have been lifted on roads except for Lower Potato Road, Hazen Road, Smith Pond Road, and Rice Road. So we're getting out of the mud season. So it's nice to get those roads open back up. The sewer infiltration project that starts this Wednesday with manhole repairs and upgrades, and sewer line main lining will start next month. Enfield DPW is hosting a flagger training tomorrow from 8 to noon. We're inviting all the communities around us to join that. You'll hear this a couple times. We had a really busy year. Highway Department had a really busy year this year. They experienced 50 storm events this past winter. It's over the last 15 years. There's only once where we had 52 storm events. So it was one of our busiest winters that we've had. We normally average somewhere in the 35 to 40 range. So it was a really busy winter year. A lot of smaller little ice storms and things that take a lot of work. Brush and yard waste facility will reopen at DPW on April 30th. And then the first household hazardous waste day is May 3rd from 9 o'clock to noon at DHMC lot 27. And then police department, a couple things. Again, they have been extremely busy this year. The police department is already up to 1,500 calls for service this year. So they're running a lot more than normal. Police department, fire department, and ambulance are getting busy and getting ready to move into the new public safety building. Members are extremely excited. I know Chief Neely and, well, all three chiefs, but Chief Neely's really taken the bull by the horns on getting together their furniture order and the things that they need to get that done. And he's got quite a good list going, but he's also getting a pretty steep discount because of that. So nice to see them all working together so well to get this done. And then Corporal Smith and Ranker have completed the first half of the canine drug detection certification schools. And both the officer and dog are doing very well.
How do you spell rancor?
RANK.
KOR.
And that's my report.
When did you say the brush facility will be open?
April 30th.
April 30th. Thank you.
When, Corporal Smith comes back with rancor, we'd love to see him here.
I'll work on that.
That'd be great.
Just looking at these calls for service, that's gonna make our next year's dispatch bill quite a bit higher.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, on to the business of the evening. Oh, go ahead.
Who is the intended audience of the community resilience workshop?
There's a invited audience to that. There's like 25 people throughout the community that were invited.
Okay.
And what was the basis of the invitation?
They worked with the resiliency group to just look at different people to get more of a diverse subsection than just seeing who showed up.
Yeah, I have sort of no clue what this is.
It's mostly stormwater resilience, but it's not all. There's some energy power resilience.
We have
those types of
representatives from the
things.
energy committee there.
Okay, all
The
right.
police chief, of course, will be there.
We got a short presentation on it here on the side in conservation as well.
So it's really
Thank you.
looking at ways that we can just recover from different types of events that'll go on.
Mhm.
So kind of an extension of our hazard mitigation plan, if you will.
And kind of an extension also of the emergency plan as
Yeah.
written up by you and the chief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, on to the business. First up, we have the Potato Road FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant Application.
So you have a grant application for you. As you know, we've put in for FEMA grants along Potato Road before. We've made some changes to it, making it a little smaller. And I've invited Jim Taylor here to kind of just explain our thought process behind that and what we're asking for. Jim?
Yeah, hi, thanks. So we are putting this in again. We've put it in, I think this will be the fourth time. In the past, we've packaged it as an entire run of culvert replacements. And the, estimates for those replacements were getting close to $1 million, and we never got funded. And one of the culverts, which is identified as number 2, which is the one that has the cones at it right now, if anybody's been by, that one is failing, and we're going to have to replace that this summer without the grant. And so because of that, and the fact that the third culvert is on private property, we've decided to just ask for the mitigation money on the fourth culvert, which is right at the Canaan line. It's a much bigger project, probably going to be in the 450 range. And we think that will make it more competitive because they don't really say it, but in meeting with FEMA, I get the feeling that they would rather help, 12 towns at 400,000 than 4 towns at, 1.5 million or whatever. They like to kind of spread it out a little bit and help everybody. So I think by putting this in, and then we've also done quite a bit more work on sort of what the design is going to look like. And we're trying to communicate with the abutters to see what they do. One is the New England Forestry Foundation. They have a reserve there, and then there's a couple of property owners on the other side of the road, which would be on the as you're headed towards Canaan, it'd be on the right-hand side. So we've been doing some of the engineering and just some rough outs on what the ask is going to be, and we're hoping to meet that deadline. I think the deadline is it's either Wednesday or Friday, and Ed has a bunch of documents to sign, which would be the last pieces. But we also wanted to be in front of you guys so that, we can attach some minutes to it and say, yes, we did, discuss this at a public meeting. The select board has been interested in doing this in the past, and we continue to be interested in having this done. And it's been on our hazard mitigation plan for quite a number of years, going back to Chief Giese and the original hazard mitigation plan, which I think was 2004 or 5. This spot has washed out a bunch of times. Mike Sousa, who's worked for the town for over 40 years, he says, oh yeah, we're up here about every 2 to 3 years doing something. And it's just, it's a spot that needs some help. So if anybody has any questions, that's fine. Otherwise, it's a grant application at the end of the day.
I didn't bring the paperwork, but I read it. Our town match potentially was about 130.
106 or so.
Yes, about 25%.
Yeah.
That's how these typically go. And it can be a portion in kind as well. And so we're already paying for engineers, and Jeremy's gone over the engineers' estimates and, kind of ticked off things that we could do that would go towards the project. So that would hopefully eliminate some of the out-of-pocket costs the town would incur.
Right.
Is this an open bottom box culvert or a closed bottom?
It is not, but it will, the intent would be met. So the culvert's about 6 feet high, and there would be about 2 feet of culvert that would be buried and filled in with gravel, so that you'd have the integrity of the single piece unit without, but you'd still have the, sort of the stream bottom, which is, when you're doing permitting and so forth, that's a huge win over what's sitting there now.
That's why I asked, because I know conservation's gonna ask me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Other questions from the board?
I make a motion, we authorize the town of Enfield to move forward with the Potato Road Culvert Hazard Mitigation Grant application, and further authorize the town manager their designee to take such action and execute all documents necessary.
Second.
We have a second. We have a motion and a second. Any final comment? Shall we vote? Do we have to go by name? No.
No,
Okay,
Thank you, everybody.
how many say aye?
Aye.
Aye, and it's unanimous. Okay,
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks.
next we have the vendor permit review, permit for food trucks.
so presented to you, this is a follow-up from our last meeting, and, we made the changes that you guys had asked for. A lot of the stuff just undeleting the part you wanted to delete, those types of things, I put all in black, the stuff that we had already agreed to. And I highlighted that last section where I added a sentence. I did decide to simplify that a little. We kind of went in a lot of directions during the discussion. But I think just having an approved place that needs to be used, and I made it really clear in there that I didn't say if someone's there, but if you show up and that spot's not available for you, you can't just go park somewhere.
I think it's a good start. I'm a little concerned still about, the Shakoma Beach area, which to my eye, with anybody pulling a boat in or out, has just no spare space. Any sort of a vehicle that pulls in there, I guarantee it'll be at the same time somebody's still trying to put a boat in or out. It's just life. And there's just no place on the beach end
Well,
side.
I think some of
But they
that
could
too
go.
is vendor purview. It's not just a food truck.
No, I understand. It could be a push cart or something along those lines, and I appreciate that.
Selling anything.
But we listed this one specifically different from the sidewalk spaces. We have, for sidewalks, we have Main Street, Route 4, Shaker Hill. We listed Chacoma Beach up where the road and other spaces are.
But that would be the same area off the
For what?
sidewalk. It's not necessarily a parking lot. It's
There's,
Shakoma Beach.
there's no room in that parking lot when people are pulling boats in and out. It's just,
The beach though
The
isn't the
beach
parking
isn't the
lot.
parking lot.
That's the other side of the road.
well, there's no place on the right side without taking up, well, there's curb on all of it.
Yeah, this isn't a food truck permit. It's a,
No, I agree. And for that reason, it may be, in fact,
if it's a food truck, they're gonna have to get permission where they park. And it's going to be out of the way of everything.
and since there's no place there for a food truck, perhaps Shakoma Beach should be listed as one of the sidewalk places, as the application has noted, that there are sidewalk places, and perhaps Shakoma Beach should be one of those sidewalk places.
I think you're thinking wheels though, and not every vendor has wheels on it. Some of them use their feet and
I was gonna say,
There's
that
many
part of
kinds of
this has
vendors.
been in place for years.
Yeah.
Well,
They
we'll
could put a
just have to
little tent up.
live with it then, and we'll see how it goes, I guess.
We're really adding Mascoma Lakeside Park and a little bit of nuanced stuff to work with food trucks, but the vendor permit's been in place for a long time.
Did we define a budding business permit? We were going to figure out what that was.
No,
We haven't really defined, so we don't know what that is for $10. Okay. The only other thing was under paragraph I,
well, the abutting business is in the definitions of that.
no, I don't know what it is.
Any legitimate business located within, whether by lease, rental, or ownership of property in Enfield Village. It says under conditions of use vendor definitions. It's got a definition right there.
Under, paragraph I, the final word says subsection. I think the word subsection ought to be substituted with by the word policy. Because I don't want them to think it means only paragraph I. And then my only comment from last week was that I thought that this should be, because it is an application, agreed. But it's also a policy. And therefore, I think it should be known as a policy, and I think it's something that should be looked at a select board meeting once a year. Or reaffirmation.
I feel like,
Comment from the public perhaps?
I feel like this is an operating document, and not a policy. It's nice that we're reviewing it, but really, they're well within their rights to have it without us, to me.
Yeah, no, I think, I mean, there's nuance, but, right, our policy is that we allow vending within town, and this is how. This is the implementation of that policy. This document's not the policy. This is the
Well,
implementation. of the
there are
policy.
no other indications anywhere on town documents of a policy. This is the policy. This is it.
I guess it's nuanced, but no, I think this is an implementation of, you know, we allow vending and this is how it's implemented.
Oh, I agree. But I'm not aware of anything else that we have that lists a policy.
No, but I'm also gonna, I mean, I agree that we should review them every so often. But if you guys try to review every policy we have every year, you'll do nothing.
Yeah.
We do need to start.
Fair
getting
enough.
More of them in front of you.
Fair enough.
I think the finance policies and the ones that are really critical are the ones you should review annually, and the other ones we should put on some other type of
And
rotation.
just wait for there to be a concern and then deal with it accordingly.
Or get them on some sort of rotation. I mean, I think they should be reviewed every so often. They're also used often by staff, so.
I think we can just keep an eye on Shakoma Beach, and if there's a problem, we can make adjustments.
Yeah,
Okay.
And I think,
I think enough of us drive by there 2 or 3 times a day that.
There was one other location I could add for a potential food truck. And that is the land which the town owns across the street from the Lutheran church. It is adjacent to the Lutheran church parking lot. And it is a plot very large enough for a food truck. If somebody wanted to pay the fee for a season, they could put a food truck there very comfortably. Not a bad spot.
I wanna clean it up a little bit. It's a little bit of a mess.
But certainly gets plenty of traffic, and if somebody wanted to pay the seasonal fee, I think it'd be a pretty good spot for a food truck.
I'd
And-
prefer to see that be part of the parking policy and set aside for parking.
Well, it's an unknown lot right now. It's just
well,
there.
maybe we add something under there. I don't have the wording with me, but that just says other town public areas upon approval by staff or
Yeah.
something. That way, if something pops up or someone asks about something we didn't think about,
Yeah.
because it's out of the way and not.
I mean, you can give that a street address. I don't have it in front of me, but you could give it a street address. It has one. I think it's a good start. We'll just implement it and see how it goes.
We need a vote on this?
And vote can support it, but I feel like it's still, it's an operating document.
Yeah, no, adding the parking requirement, I think that addresses their concern.
And we don't need to vote.
Okay. We'll start implementing it, and if we need to change something, we'll
Next up, we have the Community Nursing Committee recommended disbandment as voted by the committee.
So as your memo pointed out, we had talked about this when we talked about contracting the nurse. It was the select board's decision during that discussion of whether to keep the committee or not keep the committee and talk to them. We talked through it some. I've put a portion of the data in here for you. It really just broke down a few different ways in the big report. This was the main thing, but as you see in 2024, it breaks down pretty clearly the clients that were served, how they were served. All the other data for the most part was aggregated because there's so few patients that if you start to really get into the granular data, you can start to figure out who it might be. So everything else was combined with Lebanon and Grantham. The charge of the committee, and that, I believe I put that in your packet as well. Pretty much the top 3 things were to review data and to report back to myself and the select board on whether they thought the community nursing program was working. I do believe that from this data, from reports from citizens that we've had, that we've made the determination that this is a pretty good service, especially being funded through donations and grants. So the only other thing that was on their list was to continue fundraising efforts. We had a discussion at the meeting whether we needed to continue to be an official town committee to continue fundraising, or if they could do more of kind of a friends type thing. Of course, with the support of the town, as we did before we came here, that we'd be running this service, and we'd continue to meet with them and work with them to keep things moving forward. This was also a recommendation coming from Kristen Barnum as we're moving to this other contracted model. She works with multiple towns, and many of them don't have an official town committee to help run these types of things. With that, I took it to the committee and they made a motion, which is in your packet, and it was voted unanimously by the attendees of the committee that night, 5-0, to go ahead and disband that committee, and then they could work together to formalize some sort of fundraising committee to help working on that. And we'll definitely encourage them to help as they would like to with getting the word out, helping with some marketing, some of those types of things. But I do think with the workload after going through a year of this, it's something that most of the stuff that we were working on in that committee, besides fundraising, can be handled a little more efficiently and quickly with some little bit of staff time, not very much. And it was already taking that much staff time to run the meetings and do that kind of work.
We have a recommendation here you'd like a vote on?
Can I just ask one question?
Go ahead.
So like, if at some point in the future, I don't know when in the future, but if we were like gonna move away from a philanthropy grant model to maybe like something more funded by us, would we be able to have like utilization data to rely on to justify why we would be coming to the town asking?
Yeah, we're still gonna be getting data and we'll still be able to provide that forward.
Okay,
It'll be very much the same data.
okay,
The red cap data is collected by the community nursing organization, and
okay.
all of the data from the visits are fed into the system. So we'll continue to have that data. We'll continue to report annually. It's just,
Other questions or-
Hand raised, and it's been raised since the beginning of the discussion, so I don't know if this is the topic.
Well, I'm sorry.
I can't see it.
Sharon's okay.
Okay.
Sharon, are you wish to speak?
I'm sorry, hello, are you talking to me?
Yes, your hand is up on the screen.
Oh, I thought I lowered it. Actually, I had a question about the food truck, just one question, but you moved on. So I don't know where you are in process now.
We're talking about the Community Nursing Program Committee.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. So maybe I don't know, at the end of the evening, can I ask my question about the food truck? Can we go back to that later?
Why don't you ask it right now?
Okay, thank you. My question I'm sorry that I came in late, so maybe you discussed this. Was there any discussion about provision of how many food trucks can be in any one location? The reason I'm asking that is because the parking specifically at the Lakeside Park is really tight for the people who want to use the park. And I don't have any objection to a food truck being there, but if there were 2 food trucks there, et cetera, how do you determine who gets the food truck spot? How does that get handled? Because I'd hate to see, oh God, there's 3 food trucks there and now it's taking up 6 parking spaces for people to use the park. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just want to answer that. You want me to?
You can answer that, yes.
Yeah, we put a provision in, we talked about that a lot at the last meeting, and we put a provision in that there would be a designated spot and staff would work with the food trucks to designate that, and they can park no other place besides that one designated spot or two if we decide we can fit two, but it has to be an approved spot. They can't just go park in the parking lot.
Okay, thank you very much. And now back to the Community Nursing Committee.
I'll make a motion to disband the Enfield Community Nurse Committee and thank those who served on each of these committees for their time and work on behalf of the town of Enfield, and further charge the town manager to work with the Friends Group to help them establish some guidelines and direction to ensure a successful transition and to provide ongoing support from the town of Enfield.
Wait, second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Well, I had a question.
Oh, question?
Will Emily remain a point of contact?
Yes, she is the staff contact for community nursing.
Okay. Thank you.
Good question. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. Okay. Next up, approve the solid waste and recycling study committee organizational document.
So as most of you probably know, we've talked about this for a couple of years, but we were charged by the budget committee to establish a committee to look through our solid waste and recycling and to put together a study this year. We need to get this stood up pretty quickly if we're gonna have any sort of information back for the budgeting timeframe. So I put this together. I did put in here, and we may want to change the words no later than, or just talk to them, but it says to get a report back to the select board and budget committee no later than December 31st, 2025. But I did ask that they meet with the budget committee in October 2025 to give any kind of preliminary budget impacts that may be there. I would like them to be able to do a thorough job completing this. So, the deadline might be a little tight depending on how deep they go into research, but, knowing what we need to budget for 2026 will be important. With that, you can look through, we put, specific duties and things that they should be looking for in there. We can always add something, but I would like to, if possible, get this approved so we can get the applications out. We can continue talking about the charge as we go forward.
And then you're gonna be looking for 7 members.
Yeah, we'll be putting applications out. Hopefully we get 7 people. That seems to be a good size of a committee for this. 5's a little bit small. You can run into quorum issues if a few people can't attend, but 7 gives us just a little bit more to work on the quorum and be able to divide into subcommittees to do some work.
Yeah, I think it's useful, it's necessary. We can move forward with this.
I think so, yeah. We would need a motion to establish this committee.
I'll make a motion to establish a solid waste and recycling study committee.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. There we go. Board and committee. Oh my goodness.
You're up.
So you have a list of each of the different boards that have openings that might be either a position being held by an individual whose term is up. They may or may not be reapplying for appointment, and there's some vacancies to fill. So if you want to go through committee by committee. We have the list of existing members and then the list of applicants. The ones highlighted in pink under the applicants are the ones that are applying to be reappointed.
Mm-hmm.
Can I get some help following along just because my vision is.
Sure. So Capital Improvement Program Committee, Jim Fickett and Dimitri both have terms, that are expiring on May 1. Jim Fickett is not looking for reappointment. Dimitri Desarano is, and there is one vacancy for a 2-year term that expires in 2027. The others would expire in 2028. Your applicants include Brandon Crosby, Dan Regan, Dave Gilfay, Dimitri, and Jill Buchnowski. And let's see, Dan Regan is looking for a 2-year appointment, so to fill the vacancy.
I would remind you, if you're looking through this to do this, we had a discussion last year about how many budget committee members we
Yeah,
wanted.
that's
this year.
exactly what I was about.
Just something to think
Yeah.
about.
They are. So, what's for some?
And just to remind me, is
The
Jill,
applications are separate with a paperclip.
Jill is not on any committee.
the right, correct, but is she the one who ran for budget?
Yes.
committee? Yeah, so,
Yeah.
yeah. There should be a new volunteer.
Here, I'll make it easy. I'll make a motion to reappoint Dimitri De Serrano for a 3-year term ending in 2028. That gets one
I
thumb.
will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we have it.
And then we have 2 more slots, right? Is that?
Yes, you have one for a 3-year term and one for a 2-year term.
Brandon Crosby is not on.
I move we accept Dan Regan to be the 3-year slot on the capital improvement committee.
Is Dan
He
on
applied
budget?
for 2 and he's on budget.
I understand that, but tie-in, I think, is worth it,
But we have
considering that
how
we're
many
losing our chairman in a year anyway.
I don't think I agree, but we can talk about it.
Yeah.
more.
Other thoughts on that?
I have concerns about, same as last year, about loading budget committee members onto capital improvement.
We have 2 openings on budget, on capital improvement. If I
At
read
this
it
point,
correctly.
you have one 3-year term left and one 2-year term.
Yeah.
We do have 2
Two
applications
more.
from
Yeah.
people who would be new volunteers.
Yeah. I recommend Dan Regan for one of the openings, and I recommend Jill Butnowski for the other.
I'll make a motion to appoint Jill Bojanowski for a 3-year seat.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
When we need the 2-year.
Who was the second on that? I'm sorry. Thank you.
You have Brandon that applied for a 2-year and Brandon Crosby that applied for any.
And Dave Buffet did request a 3-year term, but might be willing to serve 2 years.
I guess I'm interested in trying out Brandon, mostly because we often put the same people on committees, and I love you guys and I think you do a lot of great work, but one of the things we need to do is to teach new people in this community to do this work. So I'll make a motion to appoint Brandon Crosby, sorry. I'm really having trouble with my vision. Reading.
We have a motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I think getting new volunteers is good, and we have a good problem of having multiple qualified people.
Absolutely.
It's great.
I just happen to think it's a critical committee, and people with enlightenment and knowledge about how the budget works are important to the committee.
So we have a motion. We had a second.
Yeah.
Any further comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, 4 ayes, 1 opposed. And that's it for that committee.
Okay.
And community nursing
Done.
Yes, disbanded.
disbanded.
So the next is Conservation Commission. You'll have two terms that are expiring on May 1, so there'll be two 3-year terms, and then you have one opening for a single year term. Edward Rippey and Shirley Green have both reapplied for appointment or applied for reappointment. Susan Brown and Peter Hurst have both applied for any term.
I'll start with reappointments again. I'll make a motion to reappoint Ed Rippey and Shirley Green for each for 3-year terms to expire in 2028.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right,
And I'll make a motion to appoint Peter Hurst to the 1-year term expiring in 2026. And I would just add to my motion, my comment following the motion is that Peter is not on any of our committees yet.
I'll second. Actually, he's served on other conservation commissions before as well.
well, okay,
But that's been wrote in his.
Yeah.
If you ever want to learn about biochar, he's your person.
yeah, okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right,
Then we have Energy Committee that has 2 openings for 3-year terms, and you have, both of them have requested reappointment, and then we have Valerie Stinson, who did not note a particular term, but is interested.
I'll make
Also
the motion
add
to
alternates.
reappoint Joellen Courtney and Kim Quirk to terms.
I would second that. They have a ton of experience.
They sit on the State Board of Community
Yeah.
Power.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
So I have a question. What is the process for alternates?
You can just appoint them as an alternate, and if they choose to accept it, because if they requested a full member position and you offer them an alternate, they can accept it or not. I did add, after these came in, I added a question to the application. If you've applied for full membership, are you willing to be an alternate member? Because this will come up. So
Valerie
I realized-
Stinson does say that. You did, so she got it so it says I'd be interested in filling a 1-year or alternate vacancy. So I'd make a motion to appoint Valerie Stinson as an alternate to the Energy Committee.
Second.
For a 3-year term, which is typical.
Yes.
Well, wait, should we offer the alternate to Susan Brown for the conservation?
Never had an alternate. How's that work on conservation?
I'm
I
not
don't
sure.
know, it just said that Peter Hurst would be willing to accept the alternate position.
We've never had an alternate on conservation before, so I'm not, we'd have to check.
Could be RSA too.
I'm not opposed. I'm just saying I've never had one. And I know they have very specific rules and I don't have my.
It's just actually noted on that
Yep.
commission, so.
Well, let's finish up the Energy Committee one.
Okay,
We have a second on Valerie Stinson
Alternate, yep.
for alternate.
Second.
okay. Who made the motion?
I did.
You did. So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I do think we should, I should have brought it up before. I do think we should check whether Susan.
Yeah.
Interested on that.
We can do that and bring it back next week.
Yeah, I just don't know that it's
Conservation
established
Commission's
under the
allowed to have alternates.
Are we?
We can vote for that or not, and
Well,
and then offer it to her.
yeah, I think we should vote for it and then offer it to her.
Yep.
I'm fine with
Yeah, so I didn't realize it until I was reading that one.
Sure.
Yeah.
That we should do alternates tonight
Yeah.
too.
So I move that we offer Susan Brown the alternate position on the Conservation Committee.
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Are we allowed to do one on capital improvement? Alternate?
Don't know.
Hmm,
We can check that.
I move that we offer Dan Regan an alternate position on CIP.
I'll second.
Discussion?
I maintain my same concern about budget committee. You can attend, but I think we have a lot of budget committee members. And I want to see the breadth. I mean, people can go to the meetings, but
Yep.
that's my feeling on it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Yeah.
and one opposed. Okay. So Mayor Mascoma Lakeside Park has been
Well-
discontinued.
The Heritage Commission actually is next.
Heritage Commission.
So Heritage Commission has,
On this, Heritage. but-
Yep.
Heritage, you have Marjorie Carr and Shirley Green, whose terms are expiring. They have both applied for reappointment. You have one vacancy for a full member for a one-year term.
Mhm.
And then you can have up to 5 alternates. Suzanne Hinman did not put in an application and it was not expected.
Okay. I make a motion to appoint Anita Warren, Marjorie Carr, and Shirley Green for 3-year terms.
You actually have
Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
2
I,
3-year terms.
that's what I get for
and
my,
one
putting my finger
one-year
over it.
term. Except for the alternate, which would be.
That's a 1 year, okay. I make a motion to reappoint Marjorie Carr and Shirley Green for 3-year terms expiring in 2028. I will not put my finger on the other people.
We have a motion and a second, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I have a vacancy for a one-year term.
We haven't had Anita on a committee in quite a while.
Yeah, I don't think Dolores is on anything in the moment either.
Yeah, no, neither of them.
Okay.
Did either, do we have, well, we have
We're
one
still
more
in the
spot.
Heritage Commission.
Yeah.
You
Sorry.
have, actually, you have, one full member to fill the vacancy for 1 year. And then you can have up to 5 alternates.
Mhm.
This one says.
One full member and 5 alternates on Heritage. Mhm.
It has been a while since Anita was on, I think she put her on as the full time and then offered the alternate spot to the other two.
Yeah, I like that.
Am I misreading it? I thought she already put into this.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah, your people up here. I know, I'm having problems with my eyeballs, but
got it.
it works better too if you don't put your finger on top of it.
I'll make a motion to offer the 1 year term on the Heritage Commission to Anita Warren.
Second,
Comments? All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to offer alternate positions on the Conservation Commission to Susan Brown and Dolores.
Heritage Commission.
Heritage Commission, sorry.
Heritage
Heritage
Commission.
Commission. To Susan Brown and Dolores Brown.
Second,
Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, now let's go to Lakeside Park.
And I would recommend appointing Penny for the remainder of their time.
I make a motion to appoint Penelope Coburger for the remainder of Mascoma Lakeside Parks. Term.
I'll second.
Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Do we want to put a date on that specifically?
Well, it has.
They're already,
We should let that-
they have a date.
They have a date.
Committee,
Mhm.
so
We'll just let
I
it,
would just leave it.
okay.
So her term will expire
9/20.
September 2025, to clarify.
September
September 20th.
20th, is that the date I thought we wrote 30th.
I don't know, I have the 20th, but I might have typed wrong.
I feel like we went to the end of the
I
month.
thought we went to the
Okay.
30th.
Well, let's check that. It'll be the.
Cause I think we did the end of the
whatever
quarter
date you
and
voted.
the end of the month.
Exactly.
Whatever date you
I'm
voted
pretty
on
sure we did the end of third
31st, it will.
I think I
put
made
in
the
there.
motion.
Well, September is 30 days, so I think we said the 30th.
Whatever date the,
It's all
the
right. Within
committee's,
those 10
It's in the
We'll-
minutes.
we'll get it.
I'm lost. Okay.
Okay,
We are at,
Old Home Days.
Okay, good.
So
Old home days.
You have, a
Why am
lot.
I looking good? Cause we
So-
don't have,
The one person whose term was expiring did not reapply. And that was for a 3-year term, so that
Mhm.
leaves you 4 3-year terms, 2 2-year terms, and 2 1-year terms, and 2 applicants.
And Partridge and a Pear Tree.
It says Brandon Crosby and then.
it's my here.
Is Meredith's term expired?
No, she's not on there right now.
But she's working very hard on getting ready, so it was.
She's trying to get it going again.
I would make a motion to put, Brandon Crosby and Meredith Smith on for 3-year terms expiring in 2028.
Meredith, respect.
Oh, she wanted to do 1 year. I'm sorry. Yeah,
Okay,
okay. I make a motion to appoint Brandon Crosby for a 3-year term expiring 2028 and Meredith Smith for 1-year term expiring in 2028, but to offer Meredith a 3-year term expiring 2026, but to offer Meredith a 3-year term if she so chooses expiring 2028. Is that complicated enough?
Yes,
Okay, I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. I don't think there's any conversation needed. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
okay, then planning board, we have David Fract and Phil Vermeer, whose terms are expiring as full members. Kurt Gotthard and Whitney Banker are alternates with terms expiring. Phil Vermeer did not choose to reapply, but David Fract did, as did Kurt and Whitney. And then you have 2 new applicants.
And neither of our 2 applicant alternates wanted to be full members. Jason?
Well, so Kurt Gotthard specifically said he wanted planning board alternate,
Okay.
and Whitney is here, and she said she wanted to be reappointed, so I assumed
Alternate,
it would be an alternate position.
Okay, I just understand that.
Well, so we have David Fract, Kurt Gotthard, and Whitney Banker, who definitely should be in, right?
Yeah.
So let's resolve that right away.
I like that.
Who's making the motion?
I'll move to appoint David Frax to a 3-year term to the planning board and Kurt Goddard and Whitney Banker to alternate.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second,
All in favor, say aye.
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 so we have 1 open, is that,
One open for a 3-year term.
and we can have, are we allowed to have another alternate?
I have no idea how many alternates you're allowed to have on the planning board,
Since we're asking.
but I would assume you could have
Three.
more.
Well, and we've already got one that hasn't,
I have 4 alternates on my books, but
oh, that's right, but yeah, you're right, Jim Bonner and,
yeah, and Bill
Bill.
Griffin.
right.
Okay,
But if Heritage can have 5 members, I don't know why planning board couldn't have, Five
State's
openings.
pretty specific on what they can and can't.
yeah, that's,
I'll look it up.
thank you. But you still have a full position to appoint.
so we have 1 full position.
Mhm.
And we don't yet know about the alternate opportunity.
Correct.
Okay.
I have,
Now up to 5.
planning,
You're fine.
planning board application.
Yeah, so planning board, we have 2 applications, Paul Bianco, Benjamin Jorgensen, and 1 full-time position to fill.
I don't know either one of them.
Jorgensen has 30 years of facilities and site planning.
Paul is sitting here because he's
Ooh.
been to see us before. Is
Ah.
Mr. Jorgensen here as
Yeah.
well? No, okay.
And we can have 1 full member and 1 more alternate.
Well, seeing as how there's no term noted, maybe I'm just gonna throw this out, you guys can tell me I'm wrong. I'll make a motion to appoint Paul Bianco to the 3-year seat expiring in 2028 and offer an alternate position, whatever we call it, to, sorry, Benjamin Jorgensen.
That makes sense.
Is that,
With a motion?
I'll
You
second.
have a motion, a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There we go.
Okay, then we have Recreation Commission. We have the, I don't know if this has any rules attached to how many alternates you can have. Amy Stewart's term is up. She has applied for reappointment, and you have 3 other applicants. Anita Warren, Brandon Crosby, and Bill Finger.
I move we reappoint Amy Stewart to the Recreation Commission.
second?
The motion is second, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
And that was our last remaining full seat,
Yes,
and then we can offer alternate spots, is that?
I believe so.
Just, help me out here, because I feel like we made a really big change adding a full-time recreation director, and then for years in this community, the commission did a lot of the work, like Easter egg hunt and things like that. So are we looking at like I know there's probably a formal charge like in our state RSA's, but are we looking at some kind of charge that would have,
There's not in the RSA.
oh, there
so
isn't.
We are.
So we
gonna-
could give them a charge. I'm just wondering if we need, like, if it would behoove us to have alternates and have some depth or not. Do we have any visions of the future? I know we're in a transition period, so I'm
I
like,
think the things that alternates would I mean, it's not a quasi judicial board or
Yeah.
anything, so the things that alternates would help with would really be the quorum requirement. That if 2 alternates showed up and not a quorum of the board, you could seat them and still have a meeting.
that would be smart considering we have 2 in the same household.
But I have already charged our new rec director with working with me and the rec commission to rewrite their charge to come before the select board, so.
Considering having more people in the room for that
Yeah.
activity would be helpful.
I think it brings different perspectives.
Yeah.
And with some of the things that we'd like them to start planning on.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense to appoint all of these people, Anita Warren, Brandon Crosby, and Bill Finger as alternates.
Is that your motion?
That is my motion.
I'll make a second on that.
okay, we have a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
And then we have the outside organizations. We have the Mascoma River Local Advisory Committee. We have 1 person who's on there. We have 3 slots. He has indicated that he would be willing to serve, but he hasn't received any notices of meetings in the past year. So they're not active, and their site, actually, their website says they are currently inactive.
Aha,
They may become active, but we don't know. So, I mean, he's willing to serve longer.
maybe 1 is all we need.
If
I
they're
make a
not.
motion to appoint Al Valstead, the Mascoma River Local Advisory Committee.
I'll second that. Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Okay, and then the last one is the Enfield Shaker Village Scenic Byway Advisory Board, which has a lot of openings and 1 applicant who will take any term.
I'll move to appoint Susan Brown for a 3-year term to the Enfield Shaker Village Scenic Byway Advisory Board.
Second.
Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That is done.
Thank you. This was very nicely organized.
Yeah, thank you very much. Had that not been color coded, I would have been hiding under the table.
In full effect.
Okay. Next. Finance policies. First review. Mhm.
So as we discussed last fall, the finance policies usually come before the select board for annual review. We needed to do that, so we worked mainly just to put those together into 1 document. A little bit of a cover page that I wrote on there just to explain why it's important to have these policies. the yellow highlighted place I meant to change, but I didn't, so we can kind of go through this as we go through and see if there's any policies that we want to write or add to this. I don't know if they came out in the packet in color that you guys got, but there was some red highlighting in there. Pretty much the one, I'm gonna call it substantial change, if there was any, was the change to the cybercrime to from the 75 to the 125, as we went through the insurance process. We learned that we had cybersecurity insurance for 75,000 and Primex insured us for the $50,000 that we had to have lost to do it. So we ended up getting the. So just wanted to bring that option up that we can bring that EFT level up to somewhere between 75 and 125, up to 125, and still have no risk to the town. Makes it a little easier. We don't send many EFTs out that are that large, but gives us the ability. The other two policies that were in your packet that were redlined was really because we changed the policy from a resolution, if you will, to policy form. So it really said the same thing, we just changed the way that it was formed.
Can we go back to that 125? My brain's not wrapping. So the policy was a 75,000 coverage from.
Yeah.
Whoever it was.
We had made the determination at the time, nothing over 75,000, because we were, I don't know that it really matters, but we were covered up to 125, but we had to sustain a loss of 50,000 to be part of that, and we were trying to be ultra cautious as we learned how the insurances work. We're truly covered up to the 125.
So it's the 75
75 and 50.
and 50. So they pay the deductible of that.
Primex pays the deductible and the other insurance company covers the 70.
Okay. The 75. Okay. I just wanted to make sure we didn't.
My only suggestion specifically for that one is, to change the second half of the sentence and suggest for the town's current cybersecurity insurance coverage, whichever is less.
I like that very much. Thank you.
Because that way, if the insurance changes mid-year, we don't have to come back.
Good point. Like that.
Good call. And I guess payment exceeding this threshold must be issued via paper check. And I would like to see 2 signatures.
Say that again,
2 signatures, and we get 2 signatures. Like other organizations.
on the
do.
paper check.
Like some,
We can work on it.
many large organizations have a grant of approval where you're authorized to spend up to, and it says right on the check, like a little fine print underneath, if it's over X number of dollars, a second signature is
It would be
required.
the signature, so it'd be the
That's pretty common, you're right.
I think
treasurer and
for
deputy treasurer or.
town
that-
manager
that could
and
be-
assistant town manager, finance manager, something.
I can sign it, I don't mind. We have to sign all the paperwork leading up to it,
Mhm.
multiple paperwork
So
signatures up to.
just,
but-
just as a practicality, our program, we have to design the checks, which we print, and they're very challenging. So getting 2 signatures on there.
We're getting brand new
basically-
software though, right?
We are, but not till the end of the year. So
And-
until then, it would be challenging to get that
Isn't
implemented.
Mascoma Bank our bank?
We don't get, yes,
They can like hack you out a check any day of the week. You can go in and ask nicely.
we would have to get new check stock and start over because we have blank check stock and we have a check printer that we use.
We could do it, it'd be harder than.
It's not as easy as it appears on the surface.
I
It
mean,
can be
I
done.
mean, I have a question. So if you have a check that has a line for 1 signature and you put 2 signatures because there's a thing on the check that says it needs 2 signatures over a certain amount, I think that the bank would be like, oh, good. 2 people signed it, not like, oh, you didn't sign on a second line.
Yeah, no, we could probably sign right next to each other.
Okay.
I would just feel a lot more comfortable with 2
Yeah, I think
signatures.
that's,
I think the requirement is a good one, and I think at least for the time being, one signature above another would be acceptable.
And I think it's a good faith gesture to the people in this town who expressed their very deep concern about what we were gonna do, that we've set this in place as
Right,
another layer.
I agree. We've set the bar a little bit higher.
So if we need to, initiate a policy from this board for our assistant town manager to be a signatory, let us know.
Mhm.
Yeah, we can look into that if we need to add something to this authorizing myself or. Cause I think right now the only people allowed to sign checks are the treasurer, but
Dr. Buffet?
Point of preparation, if an additional signatory was necessary and you guys were on vacation or somebody was not available, the chair of the select board might get another signatory.
Yeah.
Suggestion.
we're very rarely on vacation together, but it
Yeah.
does happen.
Yeah.
I think, we should know when our large invoices on a project are
Yeah.
coming in and be able to manage cash flow and.
Yeah,
and put
most
that
of them,
planning.
if they had.
I think it's pretty unlikely that we'd have to defer to the select board as a signatory on anything.
I'll look into that a little bit, but yeah,
Okay,
good idea for first reading.
I still wanna work in, somehow that payment methods not expressly permitted by this policy are excluded. And I don't know where that goes, but
didn't it say something like that?
did I miss?
Oh,
I didn't see that.
I thought it was discussed.
No, we talked about
It
it.
was discussed when we were doing some of
I mean,
the
that could be,
cyber issues.
that could be a statement right in the scope.
Yeah, I just didn't know where it should go. I'm just tossing it. But I'd like to see that because if somebody invents a magic wand, or town Venmo and they wanna do it, I think unless we have really good cause for using it and a plan in place that has the same kind of level of scrutiny, we shouldn't use it.
Well, an Enfield crypto coin would be nice.
I'll put your face on it.
No, I think-
You don't know if it goes in.
Well, we could put it,
I know you.
we could put it right in the scope saying,
Mhm.
In the introduction?
no, in the scope. We could put something along the lines of, payment methods not authorized in this policy are expressly prohibited.
We'll have to add some other stuff to those.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, we
I don't
have
know where that
credit
is.
cards out there.
It's,
and those
the
things.
Okay.
beginning.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Well, and
Yeah,
that's a whole.
I almost think
yeah,
it was one of the things that I've talked about, a credit card.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Little more thorough credit card policy instead of just a procedure, those types of things. And then maybe we put it as in the financial procedure.
As a general note, I will say that I'm not really prepared to vote on this tonight.
No,
It's a first
because-
read.
It's a first read.
Yeah. Between Friday night and
Yeah.
now, I've not had a chance to compare it with the original last year's documents, for example. So, and it's because it was written by our friend AI. It's not really an affirmation on most of this.
Well, you used it to reformat, right? Not
Yeah.
to change.
Oh, no, it's quite different. The document,
Yeah.
that
Use it a
we
little
have
to
is different.
transpose those.
right, AI took liberties with the original language and changed a couple of these policies fairly dramatically
Well,
by my reading.
there were two that were written as resolutions.
Yeah.
When we did review them and they're substantially the same. The wording.
Substantially, I agree, but the wording is dramatically different in the pass through.
So, yeah, I mean, I would take time to read through them.
That's all I'm
We can
suggesting.
Send those out if you'd like to look at those as well.
I've got the original, I don't need it. I'm fine, who knows?
But yeah, this is the first reading.
I just haven't had a chance to do a thorough
Like changes.
read.
And they're also all online,
Okay,
so you can.
I made one change in the purchasing policy as well. We had up to $2,000 for the department head just
Down to
to
5.
do it, and then I bumped it up to 5, so with price increases, those things, but I trust my department heads to make purchases up to 5,000. It happens often,
okay,
so I'll get a little more involved when it clears that level between 5 and 10.
yeah. Makes sense. Are we good to move on?
I just have a quick question about the fraud policy. In section 7, where it says actions constituting fraud included but not limited to, and the first one is any dishonest or fraudulent act. Is that like normal legalese for it, using fraudulent to define fraud?
Oh, but that's how it's been forever. We want to try to find a different word. we can.
I don't know, it caught my eye, I was like, oh, this doesn't really mean much.
I think that's intentional.
Okay,
Yeah,
I think that's part of the not limited to. I
okay,
think they're trying to make it very broad,
excellent.
so that somebody can't look at this list and say it's not prohibited. Right.
Add a few extra letters and it's still. Got
I
it.
think you're
That's
correct.
I'm not,
No,
I don't carry.
You're correct, it's on, but I think that's probably why it's there, is to
But yes, in the truest literary sense, you should not use a word to define itself.
You
Right,
know,
Don?
fraud, 'cause it was fraudy.
It's right, add a Y to anything that's acceptable.
I think it's time to move along.
I'm good with a first read on this and yeah. Give it another read next time.
Yeah.
So,
I think we're making progress.
let's go.
Next up, we have reaffirmation of vote to purchase vote counting devices and implement in future elections.
Leave it to the bureaucrats to figure this one
so
out.
I'll pass this to Elisa in a minute, but this is the state being the state. They don't like the fact that you said it's okay to buy new voting machines. They want you to tell them exactly which one we're allowed to buy.
Perfect. And also to express your intent to use them.
Yeah.
I think they,
Yeah.
I think
We're
it's a
just gonna,
delaying tactic on their part because I was told the machines simply are not ready.
They are not, but you still need to have this motion in place and we
Right.
got this from the company. we
Either
ordered
way,
it through.
yeah.
So
I will move
I
to
don't think it's a
purchase.
delay.
Either way,
I think it's clarification.
I'll move to purchase 2 Dominion ImageCast Precinct 2 ballot counting devices to notify the state of New Hampshire of the town's change in voting systems for future elections and further authorize the town manager or their designee to take such actions and execute all documents that may be necessary.
Second,
Discussion? Signify yes.
Did you say something about you needed to confirm that you're gonna use them?
Yes.
Yes. I didn't hear that in that.
I think that was to notify the state of New Hampshire of the town's change in voting systems for future elections.
Okay.
Future elections, yeah.
it's there.
I
Okay.
have a letter
We
telling.
have a
them-
motion and a second. Signify your approval by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
We did have one state grant this year that had to come back to you to appoint a designee because they wouldn't allow my designee and I wasn't allowed to designate anyone.
Okay.
Incredible. Incredible.
Finally, award Whitney Hall Meeting Room Audio Visual RFP. For the bed.
This was a last minute addition. I sent this to you
Yeah.
today and we modified the agenda. We've been going through the RFP process, as you guys may remember last year. I had, actually this company, Pro AV, out. We did a full measurement, kind of engineered or lightly engineered audio visual for the Whitney Hall meeting room. I got the price back at that time at $80,000. I about choked on myself. So we decided to wait till this year and went out for an RFP. I did send the bids directly to 5 different AV companies. 3 of those during the RFP process showed interest. Pro AV being one of them. Another company came out and did kind of the same thing, measured the room, looked through it. They ended up not submitting a bid, but then we did get a bid from a third company, or a different company, as you can see on the bid sheet. They varied greatly. One came in at 43,237, and the other one came down a little bit at 75,505. Some encouragement. I reached out to Whitney Banker's husband, who does audio video design for and installation stuff for Dartmouth, Kiesel School of Medicine. He helped me review the 2 documents. We did meet in the meeting room so he could understand what we were really looking for. And I guess we both had concern after looking through these that the $42,000 bid were the people that never came on site. What they quoted really didn't seem to fit our needs, and we were afraid that we'd be getting price creep and change orders and different things if we moved that way. He also informed that post-COVID in the new hybrid era, there's some different technology, and their normal classrooms at Dartmouth run between $70,000 and $75,000. So he thought the bid that we got was not too far out of the scope, that it's pretty much in common, and this is a little bit bigger room with some unique features as well. So working through that, we decided to go back to Pro AV, ask for a little bit more identification of types of projectors, some model numbers, just different things to make sure that we were getting good quality equipment. I got that. I met with them Friday, and they put that on a rush. They put it to the front of their priority list, and I got the list back by the end of day Friday. Sent that over to Matt to look at over the weekend, and he did get back and said it was all high quality stuff and stuff that he would recommend putting in. During that meeting on Friday, I did talk with Pro AV a little bit, and they're concerned about the tariffs that go into effect May 1st, that this may affect pricing, especially because a lot of these products come out of China. That's why I put this on your guys' agenda tonight. But in doing that, I've talked with Matthew. We did put $60,000 in the budget to cover this for this year for Whitney Hall Audio Visual. There is a little bit of money left in the loan fund, so we'd be able to cover the difference here. And I guess with that, I recommend we go ahead and award this $75,505 to Pro AV. I also want to just get authorization to set aside a $5,000 contingency in case we get some tariffs or things change, that we're not locked into that price and have to come back for just a little overage. If it ends up going over that, we'll definitely come back and talk. But this would be a full in-house system that would do hybrid meetings. It would have microphones for the select board, a competence monitor, a really good projector that would project slides a lot bigger than this, so you could see them on the back wall of on the stage in there. And then it would also be quality enough that the recreation department or somebody else could use it to show movies, those types of things to kids. And it would be something that's going to last us quite a long time and be a very useful system. It would be, I don't know if you know much about how the hybrid system works now, but it would be a Teams oriented system to work with our Teams product, but it would be able to host and log into the Zoom and other platforms as well. But it would be tailored to work with Teams, which would make it a lot easier to use when we got it.
So the quote in our packet is the 76,
As I said, we can still go,
75,505. I just want to
we'll
make
just
sure.
round that up to 80
80, okay.
and not to exceed 80.
No, that's fine.
We'll come back to you if it ends up being over that, but
I'll make a motion to authorize the town manager to enter into a contract with Pro AV in an amount not to exceed $80,000, including contingency for the design, purchase, and installation of a hybrid capable audio-visual system for the Whitney Hall Meeting Room, and hereby authorize the town manager or their designee to take such actions and execute all documents that may be necessary.
We have, are we dropping the 5,000 contingency?
We just-
I wrapped it in, so it's an 80,000 cap with a,
Okay.
and it references the 5,000.
I'll let somebody second that and then I'll make comments.
I'll second.
I've never seen a line item for warranty. That's incredible. Have you ever seen this before? I've never seen a 1-year warranty as a specific broken out line item.
For,
That's incredible to me. I'd like to make the suggestion that, in general, the total sum could be acceptable. But I think that as far as the labor is concerned, we ask them to do it on a time material not to exceed price. Try to save a few dollars out of the 26,000. Their labor looks high to me. I think it can be done for a little less than they've estimated in terms of hours. I know they're gonna charge $150 an hour. I'm not questioning that. But I think that there's a couple of dollars to be saved there.
We definitely plan on negotiating a few of those items, so I'll.
And that warranty, if you can negotiate that, I think that's incredible to charge $3,700 for a 1-year warranty. At the very least, in my opinion, if we have to pay $3,700, that should be a multi-year warranty.
That's a good point.
I agree that though, I definitely agree that I think the warranty should be longer, just because we need a warranty.
If we can't bring the price down on that warranty, then I'd say extend the time. Yes.
I agree with that.
I know it doesn't include it, but how much more will we have to pay for an owl for the GAR room?
I don't know that we'll have one in there.
No, I know we don't. I'm saying,
No, I don't know
what
that
will
we-
that cost us at some point, do you think?
I don't think we're going to put one.
You don't think it's a necessary thing?
No, and there's really not a lot of room to put a TV or anything. I think,
No, it would be a freestanding little TV is all it would possibly be, I know.
I think that room will probably be used more for small in-person meetings. It's really small, and if you wanna have a little bigger meeting with a TV, there's one in the library and one downstairs that will have a TV. But I don't think that room really lends itself for much over 6 to 8 people, and that would be really pushing the limit for that.
If we,
Fire marshal said 12, but that's okay.
Not when you get tables and chairs and all that stuff in there, it'll be
I
tight.
assume he figured that.
if we had a non-public that say had a lawyer that was, truly privileged, how would we do that?
We can make it happen, but I don't know that we would buy now.
I mean, I'm willing to cover around a laptop, but I don't know how everyone else feels about that.
Well, we have a small TV downstairs and we can move that out easily if we needed.
Oh, we had a non-public with an attorney. It would only be the 5 of us, the town manager and the attorney. That easily fits in the GAR room.
Yeah, but if they wanted to.
I'm saying because you always pay your attorney to drive. And I don't like paying them to drive because they're very expensive drivers.
We can look at it as we move forward. That's an easy budget item. I mean, we can buy an hour if we get it.
Or if there's not another meeting, we could just take the owl from downstairs and put it upstairs.
Okay.
At no cost.
Did we vote on?
Not-
So we have a motion and a second?
Are we very confident that if we approve this tonight, they will place the order for the equipment immediately and therefore we will not be hit with a tariff?
That's what we're trying to do. I can't guarantee it, but we're working on the price, not. Like we said, we're gonna lock in the price that they're giving us, and if something else happens, we'll have to talk about that, but that's the reason it came to you tonight, not next meeting.
Yeah, I'm just looking for a level of confidence that we can, by proceeding with this now, we can,
All of our vendors now are putting that disclaimer on the bottom, that tariff prices will be passed on.
no, I know.
Errors are terrible.
Can I ask a quick question? So on that second floor, that like gymnasium, like floor. There's gonna be a projector from the ceiling
It's gonna be on the mezzanine in the back.
on the mezzanine in the back, projecting onto the stage. And they promise that that's gonna be like magnificent quality for this price.
We've been debating it's a big part of the price, but we've been debating the power. Whether we need an 8,000 lumen or a 10,000 lumen projector, and
It's a hard room,
it's
right?
engineered. They have. Yeah, I mean, they have audiovisual engineers that are running the calculations for this.
Okay. That's a lot of money. I don't want to be disappointed at all.
That's why we've been having that debate and I think if they sold a 9,000, it'd probably be perfect. We're right on that little cost when we're talking about it, but the 10,000 lumen projector doubles the cost of the projector. So it's, where do you find that balance of having it really nice? That's also based on a lot of light coming in those windows.
Yeah, like this huge window.
So if we got it and it was a little not, it's something we may do anyway for sound quality. If we put some curtains or something up and darkened it up a little bit, then it would be magnificent.
Where would the projector be hanging from?
It would be mounted on the mezzanine in the back in the unusable space up top.
And that's what I'm saying. It wouldn't be hanging
Above.
below, it'd be on top. So someone to run it has to go up into that area.
Nobody should ever have to go up there unless they're just adjusting something. It'll be ran from down below.
We can run it from down below.
Actually, in this, if you look through this thing, the select board will have a Teams tablet and we'll be able to run it too, and.
Mhm.
And likewise, if we were showing a movie, we could do it from down below.
Yeah, everything will be ran from down below.
We're not really supposed to be up there.
That's why I'm bringing it up as a point.
No,
Okay. We have a motion and a second, right? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Katie, did I hear an aye from you?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Got the papers over here.
Next up, solar applications. There's a list. Julie Huntley says all of them meet the criteria necessary for approval.
So you received the full application in your digital packet, and we do
Yes.
have the copies here, if you want to read them.
So it says enclosure two current use.
Yeah, she used an old memo and forgot to change that.
Okay,
Uh,
I was like, just wondering.
No, all the applications look good to me. I looked them over,
Yeah.
the electronic copies.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve the solar applications as recommended by Julie Huntley.
second,
Second,
all in favor?
aye,
Aye.
good way to do it.
Public comment. Sir,
I disagree with the comment about the warranty. The $3,700 is their labor, because if it's a 1-year warranty, the manufacturer's gonna warranty the equipment. So all they're trying to do is get $3,700 worth of labor if they have to change something.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
nothing to do with the equipment going
No.
bad.
No, it's a
The
separate line
manufacturer's
item.
gonna handle that for you.
It is not listed as a labor cost.
Right.
It is listed as a warranty
That's what I mean.
cost.
That's where.
And I have to admit that it's
Yeah.
something I have never run across
No.
in my life.
It's just them covering their labor if they have to do something, because the manufacturer's gonna cover. If it was a 3-year warranty, then probably there'd be a parts piece in there, but that's strictly them picking up $3,700 for if they have to show up.
all right. Other comments from the public? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
All right, Tracy, start.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm
Folks,